Okay, today is day 2 on solving exponentials and logs, and it is pretty much just a review day. Uh, I have a few tips for you. One of which is the first 4 problems don't have a base listed. You need the base, because if you're going to rewrite it, you need to know what base it is. So right away, I'd take my ln, and now do not do this. Don't say ln base e, because that actually doesn't make any sense. But I would change it into a log base e of x squared equals 6. That may not feel any better to you, but now it's a little more complicated, in fact. But now you can see what the base is, so you can do a rewrite. E to the 6th equals x squared. You should be familiar with that process by now. Now I got to get that x alone. Remember that when you're solving, you're trying to get x alone. Oh, I did something wrong. E to the 6th. It said 6 and I wrote x. E to the 6th equals x squared. Sorry about that. Okay, now I got to get the x alone. And this is where, again, I get that it's sometimes not fun to be detail oriented, but math does reward careful people. If you do, get the square root on both sides, and you go like this, and you even remember it that well, that's great that you knew to do that. But if you forget, if you just did the square root on both sides, so you don't get x, you get absolute value of x. Forget a little thing like that, it makes a big difference. If it's not absolute value of x, you'd forget to put in the plus and the minus. X equals plus and minus e to the 3rd. There's lots of details in that. Gotta be really careful and picky. What happened again? I did a square root on both sides. When you do an even root, only the kind where it's a fraction and there's an even number on the bottom, then you need to end up with 2 answers plus and minus. Okay, that is literally the probably 7th test that you will probably see this on. I have warned you since the beginning that this was going to be something that would keep coming up. And so don't, be too surprised this is coming back again. All right. Okay, so the next, problems 2, 3, and 4 are all very similar to that. You're going to rewrite your ln's as log base e and do a rewrite, and then get the x alone. All right. Do you actually need to know what e to the 3rd is? No, you can leave it just like that. If we needed the decimal for that, we'd say calcs were allowed. They're not. So, all right, moving on. Let's go to number 7 is the first one. It's got a fraction theory. Now, this one seems complicated, but as soon as you realize it, raise your hand. 4 people know the answer. It's easy once you see it. What do you think? 0. Why? Use my dumb little saying. Because you won the argument. You won the argument, and therefore you get nothing. Okay. That's a 1 in the argument spot. So we didn't have to worry about that weird base, did we? Okay. So, there's a 1 in the argument spot, x equals 0. All right, moving on. I'm going to get to some where we have to get the clump alone. Get the clump alone. One of my favorite sayings. So let's talk about what the clump is. The clump is whatever is being put to the power if it's an exponential. So that's the clump. So how do I get the clump alone? Divide by 4. I'm with parts. And 36 divided by 4 is 9. All right, so I'm going to rewrite now. 1/3 to the x over 4 equals 9. I got the clump alone. Now I could rewrite this as a log, but I think there's an easier way. What if both bases were the same? Then I could do it easy from there. Do you agree that these both could be written as a 3? That could be 3 to the something, and that could be 3 to the something. Once you have the bases the same, it's easy. Okay, so 9 is obviously 3 squared. I hope that comes to you easily. How about the 1/3? 3 to the 3 to the negative 1. Some of you are not with me. Get with me now so I don't have to make it clear that I don't think you're with me. All right. Now, I'd like you to multiply the powers. Since the bases are the same, and set them equal to each other. That's right. Take it from there. Can't see the board. Can you see your iPad? All right, excellent. Are you on problem 13? All right. I will tell you where to go from there. We are at the point where we said 3 to the power of negative 1 to the power of x over 4 is equal to 3 squared. I'll pause for a second while we get this straight. Yep. Did you put the negative on the top and the bottom? Just the negative. So you're just putting the negative on top? I know you're nervous now, but which one should you do? If this is the problem, should you put the negative on both the top and the bottom? That's a very common mistake. Just put it where? On the top. Now, could you just put it on the bottom if you wanted? Yeah, but the mistake you could make is put a negative on the top and the bottom, because then the negative is going to cancel, and then you won't have a negative. You're supposed to have one. Okay, so why? Because if I put this over 1, that might make it clearer. Then it's negative x on the top. All right, so then it's negative x over 4 is equal to 2. And now, clear the fraction out of there, so you multiply everything by 4. And then I have negative x equals 8. Final answer? Negative 8. All right. Good. If you would look back just briefly with me and see, did you ever in the course of this take a square root on both sides? No, we never did, so we're okay. Just watch out for that, because it's going to happen. All right, moving on to number 16. Another good case of get the clump alone. Mr. O in the front row. Tell me how to get the clump alone in number 16. All right. 2e to the negative x is equal to 3. Now what? With the clump alone, so I can rewrite it or not? Okay. You are correct. Divided by 2. And now, is the clump alone, so I can rewrite it if I want to. All right. Now, I'm going to rewrite this as log base e. Could I have said ln? Yeah, but I personally think this is better. Log base e of 3 halves is equal to negative x. Now, I know some of you are like, what the heck is that? Log base e of 3 halves? I don't know, and you don't either, and that's okay. All we need to do is get x alone. So, is x completely alone? No, so how do I get the negative off of there? You can put a negative on both sides if you want to. So now I'll have negative negative x, which is just x. And there we go. Negative. And you can leave it that way, yes. Now, if I could get an answer for it, I should. But you don't have anything where if the base is e and this is 3 halves, you don't know what that is. If that was an e, you'd be able to do log base e of e. If it was like that, you could get 1. Much easier. All right. So there's an example of getting the clump alone. All right, let's do one where we have to get a log clump alone. All right, Mr. L in the back row. Number 18 has a ln in it. What's the clump? Or the clump, sorry. You are correct, subtracting 4. And this is the clump. Okay. So then, 3 ln x minus 3 equals 5 minus 41. And now divide by 3, I agree. And the 3 is gone then, so since I divided by 3 and it cancels. And now I'm really close, but I'm not done. What other piece of advice have I given you time and again that you should do with an ln? Okay. Log base e of x minus 3 is equal to 1/3. Okay. Now, why did I do that? So I can rewrite it. You are correct. Can I drop those parentheses? You know the rule on when you can drop them and not? If nothing is being done to them, and nothing can be done inside them, then you can drop them. In other words, there's no points. If there was a 2 out there, I can't just drop them. Right? And if it was being subtracted from something, I couldn't just drop them. There could be something to do to them. There's nothing being done to them, so I can drop them. So there. Phew, I'm done. Okay, here now. Miss B, what do I do? Is X alone yet? Okay. Cancel. X is alone. How do I write that? I don't know. E to the 1/3. I don't know what that is. That's okay. Leave it. Plus 3 equals X. We don't expect you to be able to use a human calculator and know what e to the 1/3 is. Now 1/3 or log base 1/3 of 1/3. Things that match up like that. Anything you could simplify, you should, but you can't simplify. Okay. Here's some thoughts. It's just a lot like yesterday. A little bit more of get the clump alone. And nice easy day today. And that's all I have for the video for today.